You are about to witness the birth of the world as we know it today. Born from the fires of a horrific extraterrestrial attack. It is one of the greatest untold stories in the history of life on Earth. From floods to fire, famine to fratricide. One punishment after the next will rain down on our planet, the ultimate precursor to the biblical plagues. And as in the book of Exodus, the ruling class will be cut down, freeing the lowly mammals, once their vulnerable prey, to forge a dynasty of their own. Now, you will experience the harrowing final year of the dinosaurs. Panic in the Sky on Animal Armageddon. This world ever was and is and shall be ever-living fire. Heraclitus, 6th century BC. 65 million years ago, a world was destroyed when a 6-mile-wide asteroid struck the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. $100 million megatons of energy were released, shaking the entire planet, sending mega tsunamis crashing across coastlines, and pummeling the surface with falling debris. And that was just the first 24 hours.
We didn't kill everybody off on the first day, but we sowed the seeds that would kill them off. It's as if nature planted a minefield. For every day in the next year, some more of you are going to walk on this mine and get killed off by the killers, which would have been heat, acid rain, darkness, starvation, disease, you name it.
The next 12 months would see the fall of one dynasty and the surprising rise of another. Day one has passed, but the final destruction of 150 million years of dinosaur rule over the Earth has barely begun. Day two. From space, Earth looks like an alien planet with rings of debris that will linger for years. Not a single corner of the globe has been spared. Red-hot meteor fragments thrown into space by the impact rain down from the sky. They start fires wherever they hit. The land is trapped in a raging, unstoppable, all-consuming inferno.
Everything would be on fire. Fires would be starting up all over the place. The entire world would be going up in a conflagration, and so the animals have no safe place to go. The herds would be split up and confused. They wouldn't have a safe place to run. They'd be blinded by smoke. Many of them probably died from smoke inhalation, as well as from the heat or from the fire outright.
High oxygen levels in the prehistoric air make the fires burn even hotter and faster than they would today. Surface temperatures spike. Some places may have reached 1,200 degrees. Untold numbers of dinosaurs are burned alive. North and South America are hit hardest, with fires so intense they are whipped into giant storms of smoke and flame.
Fires create their own problems. They create winds because you've got hot here and cool here. Well, that cool air is going to rush into that fire, and you start getting these winds themselves that are sucking air into that fire. And fairly soon, The entire continent, as far as we can tell, is on fire.
But even in these killing fields, there are a few survivors. In what is now Alaska, our humble ancestor, the small mammal Purgatorius, scrambles for shelter in the raging firestorm. This small creature is a proto-primate, believed to be a precursor to today's primates. On the outside, it looks like a small rodent, but its teeth are shaped much more like our own than those of a mouse or rat, leading scientists to believe that Purgatorius helped give rise to modern primates. Everything from monkeys to gorillas and even human beings.
It probably scurried about, maybe had some climbing ability, but it wasn't a primate that we think of today.
For millions of years, Purgatorius has been nothing but a food source for bigger, more powerful dinosaurs. Will they be able to survive the next 12 months and reach the promised land? Meanwhile, halfway around the world, in what is now Mongolia, life is almost normal. The earth shook, and some debris rained down from the sky, but sparse vegetation kept the fires from growing out of control. These creatures have no idea what is about to envelop them. The dinosaur Protoceratops dominates these arid plains. Protoceratops is a far eastern cousin of the more famous Triceratops. It's just a few feet tall, but weighs almost 400 pounds.
Okay, Protoceratops is a smaller animal. They were about pig-sized, up to maybe cow-sized, and they were probably also social animals. We find nests of baby Protoceratops together. We find groups of subadults and adults traveling together. So this behavior of moving in a herd probably started back in the Protoceratopsian ancestors.
The small feathered velociraptor preyed on the herds. At only 3 feet tall, velociraptors were vicious hunters. Their deadliest weapon, a pair of sickle-shaped claws that could rip open its prey. It was the cheetah of its day, capable of speed bursts in excess of 40 miles per hour. But Protoceratops don't go down as easily as a gazelle.
There's the famous fighting dinosaur specimen, in which you have a velociraptor and a Protoceratops that died locked in combat. The velociraptor has its sickle claw buried in the stomach of the Protoceratops. Meanwhile, the Protoceratops is using its big beak to bite down on one of the arms of the velociraptor. And they were buried by a sandstorm.
Velociraptors have harassed herds of Protoceratops for years. But a new killer is on the horizon. As the world continues to burn, Mongolia will soon be touched by disaster. Day 3. Mercifully, the fires have diminished in North America, leaving behind a charred and blackened landscape. Tyrannosaurus rex once ruled here. Now this mighty predator searches in vain for food. He's weak and sickly, barely able to put one foot in front of the other.
T-Rex is a very large dinosaur. Presumably didn't have many places or choices where to hide, and it needed to eat very often, and therefore I'm sure that as the prey was dying, the animal was unable to find its food. So the impact must have been particularly devastating for a species such as T-Rex.
This weakened T-Rex sights a Triceratops. As ruler, T-Rex once feasted on herds of Triceratops. But he's not master anymore. Forgetting this, he makes a fatal mistake. The chain reaction of disaster marches on. As one cataclysm tapers off, another rushes in. Each builds on the other with no time to recover. Storm clouds gather over planet Earth, laden with billions of tons of ash and noxious chemicals from the impact. This new plague will touch every corner of the globe. The mass extinction is just getting started. Death, like birth, is a secret of nature. Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, 2nd century AD. In the days after a massive asteroid smashed into our planet, a plague of fire has scorched the land. Death is everywhere. The lucky few to survive see nothing but misery around them. They may have envied the dead. But this is what our ancestors, the mammals, have to survive if they are to inherit the Earth. It's still only 3 days after impact. You're witnessing the beginning of a new lethal plague, one that will brutally kill even more dinosaurs throughout the globe. Weather systems are being altered dramatically by smoke, soot, ash, and a huge influx of toxic chemicals. The most potent is sulfur, produced by the type of rocks vaporized during impact. When the asteroid hit in the Yucatan, it landed in a bed of gypsum, a mineral that contains sulfur. Millions of tons of this caustic element would have been blasted into the atmosphere in just a few short hours.
If you scoop up the sedimentary, sulfur-rich stuff, it goes up in fine particulate material. The sulfur comes in contact with water in the atmosphere, and it converts, after several chemical reactions, to an acid, sulfuric acid.
The skies are poisoned. Water once brought life to the world. Now it brings only pain and death. Corrosive enough to dissolve rock. This lethal rain would burn flesh on contact. With nowhere to hide, the big dinosaurs suffer intensely. In what is now Western China, a large meat-eater can't find shelter from the storm. This is Tarbosaurus, a close relative of the T-Rex. Tarbosaurus is just under 40 feet long, a little smaller than T-Rex. 60 banana-sized teeth line its powerful jaw. In the days before the disaster, Tarbosaurus stalked these wide river valleys and plains with impunity. Not anymore. The acid rain comes down in sheets, torturing the dying beast. Within days, the lethal monsoons will drive this animal into extinction. The animals that Tarbosaurus once preyed on should be flourishing with them gone. But they aren't. Their prey, the titanosaurs, are a type of long-necked sauropod, and the last in a long lineage of dinosaurs stretching back 150 million years.
The long-necked dinosaurs, the giant sauropods, were the largest animals that ever lived on land. And they were really diverse and successful in North America in the Jurassic.
Titanosaurs could be found on every continent, all over the globe. Some were over 100 feet long, almost 10 times bigger than an elephant. In better times, the herds wandered constantly, always searching for lands that could sustain their enormous appetites. This wide variety of plant life that dinosaurs ate on a daily basis can still be investigated in our time. Near Rame, North Dakota, in the United States, the sediments left behind by an ancient stream bed still preserve many of these plants.
Some more there. That's really nice. Look at that one.
Their impressions are clearly visible when the rocks are split open.
It's the richest assemblage known in the world right now. It produces 103 different types of plants. About 85% are extinct. The others are ancestral to modern plants like the sycamores, the magnolias, the laurels, and some of the sequoias that can also be found here.
Upon closer inspection, the whole ecology of this late Cretaceous floodplain becomes clear.
These leaves are known to preserve insect damage, and you can see some on this one here, Dave.
Oh, yeah?
Notice the little holes that are in here?
Yeah,
those are actual leaf remains that bear insect damage from the insects. Quite a lot of insect damage. So it shows that the insect population was still robust at this time as well.
By studying these leaves, scientists piece together the daily life of the dinosaurs.
Very large sauropods were probably pushing in several hundred pounds of plant material a day. That means they had to be pushing out several hundred pounds of something else at the other end. And if you have a herd of these animals that weigh 15 or 20 tons, and they're all making hundreds of pounds of poop every day, there's probably a whole ecology of dung beetles and plants and fungi and little animals that took advantage of those raw materials.
Long-necked sauropods were once the most plentiful dinosaurs on Earth. Now acid rain has eaten them alive. Like so many other large dinosaurs, they simply can't take refuge. Along with Tarbosaurus, the disaster will soon drive their prey, the sauropod, to extinction too. All over the world, deadly storms kill without mercy. In North America, huge acidic floods will scour an entirely new landscape.
Before the extinction, we were dealing with this nice forested coastal plain. After the extinction, those forests appear to be gone. And what appears there instead are massive, extensive floods. Hundreds of thousands of square miles of flooded area in the western interior of North America.
But while the world of dinosaurs suffers, our ancestors, the once vulnerable mammals, look on, thankful they're being passed over.
Small size conferred on mammals the ability to ride something like this out because they could seek refugia from the initial environmental destruction.
From their hidden lairs, they hear their former rulers become helpless victims. Perhaps one day it will be safe to come out, but for now they must keep out of sight as death rains down everywhere. Day 4. The corrosive downpour has begun to poison the last bastion of Earth's giants, the oceans. The sea once pulsed with life, home to a rich variety of animals.
There are many different types of fish. An animal that we hear a lot about are animals called plesiosaurs, which would look a lot like a Loch Ness monster, basically. And then there would have been things called mosasaurs. And what mosasaurs were marine adapted lizards, very closely related to the modern Komodo dragon or to the goanna, which is an Australian carnivorous lizard. Mosasaurs got to be quite large. I would say the largest mosasaurs reached upwards of 45 feet in length.
Marine reptiles like the mosasaur once ruled the seas, but now the plague of acid rain is destroying their kingdom. The once thriving seas are under siege. Ash and acid rain turn the surface water into a toxic sludge. Plankton, the base of the food chain, dissolves into nothingness. Ammonites, the squid of this time, are hit hard too. Adults can grow to huge sizes, over 3,000 pounds, with shells as large as tractor tires. The adults living in deep water are mostly unaffected, but their young spend the first days and weeks of their lives